Hi, Water.
Hi, Timi. How are you?
I'm okay. You know that this is it's long time coming now. We we should have done this very much earlier, but I thank you for your patience to let us do it at this time. And it comes with a mixed feeling that I'm doing this interview today, but I'm happy for you, because I know that you have poured in your energy, your sweat, and your expertise in the work that you love to do over the years. So this is an interview, kind of an exit interview to harvest some of your thoughts concerning IHPHL as the outgoing executive director. But you know you are still the executive director emeritus. Is that correct?
That is correct. My new title, which means I'm retired.
All right,
Yes.
that's great. So I have a couple of questions I want to run by you, and
Okay.
you just provide us insights. So I'll begin now if I have your permission.
Yes. Yes. Go.
All right. So the first question I have for you is for you to tell us about yourself. Maybe something that 90% of IHP members don't know can be included.
Okay. Um, I began my international development journey by joining the Peace Corps. And I went to Morocco for 3 years, and I taught in a high school in a small town, and then I was a professor at the Teachers Training College in the capital in Rabat. So I think people don't know that. That's how I sort of began my international career and had no idea that I would stay in international work. But then that's when the bug got to me, and I thought I really enjoyed doing international development work. So that's
That's
my,
impressive.
yeah, yeah,
Incredible. So I didn't even know that myself
yeah.
about the Peace Corps and teaching stints you had at Morocco.
Yes.
That's good. All right. So the next, which is related to that, is for you to describe your career to us and describe your supply chain journey. Tell us how it's began and how you got here.
Okay, well, I came into healthcare, although I work with pharmacists and doctors and nurses. I did not come into healthcare as a healthcare person. I came in as a trainer. I got my master's degree in international administration, and I wrote my thesis on adult learning theory. So that's sort of how I came in and worked for JSI so many years ago. And that's sort of how I came in to the field after having done training for the Peace Corps, actually, as a consultant to the Peace Corps. And so I came in and got a job on a family planning logistics management project. And as a trainer, I learned everything about logistics in order to train it, and did family planning logistics for a long time. And I did both work from the central and then went over to the field. So I've been, since my career with JSI, I've lived and worked in Jordan, and I worked in Romania, and then of course 7.5 years in Zambia, where I led the SCMS and the Deliver and some other projects, large supply chain projects there. And then I came back and became the task order director for public health and on the USAID Deliver project. And that's, of course, where I really engaged with IAPHL, because as many people know, Mamamoto, Timi Omole, was the director of capacity building and on my team. And then she headed up IPHL and was the creator of getting it going. So that's when I became very knowledgeable about IPH, even more knowledgeable. I was knowledgeable in the field, but really knowledgeable from that direction. And so I've worked on non-supply chain projects as well, but I have to say that even on non-supply chain projects, when Romania was a reproductive health project, supply chain kept hitting us in the face. So, I went there and we were going to be doing a big project to get model sites going for reproductive health. But then I got there, and then one of the first things I said was, how's the supply chain? Where are the contraceptives? So the old JSI model, which was there's no product, no program, even though I was not mandated to do supply chain, we suddenly had to
Hmm.
stop and do supply chain. Just happened that I obviously had experience in supply chain, so we had to kind of begin to do that. I would say even my work later, and even in Guyana, working with key populations, HIV/AIDS, well, supply chain kept coming up because that was an issue. So for the most part, I guess for over 30 years, I've always been involved with supply chain, even when I was on a project that wasn't supply chain. And so I think finally, as I moved to reduce my work time, and different things were happening, and then we looked around, and then we had to move the Nigeria office. Of course, we're back in Nigeria now, but not with the full office, and due to funding and other things. So basically everyone looked at me and said, well, why don't you become the executive director, since I obviously was knowledgeable about IPHL, and I was looking for less than full-time work, which due to budgets works out fine because we have less than full-time money. So I became the IAPHL Executive Director, and that's sort of my journey. And now I'm happy to hand it over.
All right, thank you. That's a kind of journey from capacity building into supply chain to program back into supply chain, and of course IHPHL. And you mentioned that supply chain became part of your DNA so much that even when you are not doing supply chain, you couldn't take away your eyes from supply chain.
Yeah,
I think I like that part.
We all know how important it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So the next question is about IHPHL. I'm happy you mentioned Mamamoto and how you had taken some responsibility and ultimately the executive directorship of the association over the past couple of years. I want to lean into your experience a bit, such that you can tell us how IHPHL started, how it got here, and in your own view, what do you see ahead?
Okay, well, some people know the story that I guess now it was 16 years ago, so 2007. Mamamoto was doing a training for the Deliver Project, USA Deliver Project, and in, I think, South Africa, and with an international group. And that group basically said, what now after this great 3 weeks training? How do we continue our learning? How do we continue sharing? And that was the creation of IAPHL. And so it started under the project and got going. And then I came on board as the task order director. And then we got some funding actually through another Gates project to hire the first official executive director, although Moto was the first director. And Andrew Brown, who many people know, came on board for 1 year and was the executive director. And then that was followed by Liz Agaro, who you know from Nigeria, and many of you know, based in Nigeria. And as I said, then we eventually, due to funding cuts and stuff, we had to close the office and make the position not a full-time position. In terms of growth, I mean, it's just, we had, it started off, very small and kind of continued in this small way. And then suddenly it just took off. I think with conferences and representation, and really it was word of mouth of our members, because everyone was telling it. When we look at how did you find out about it? Why did you join? People like, well, I heard from a colleague, I heard from a supervisor, and that's how they started joining, that you need to join. And of course we got to the 8,000 mark. We cleaned up the files a bit, but we're still back getting ready to hit 8,000 again. And so it's been phenomenal. And we've been able to, with different funding, to do some really creative stuff and keep going. Now, just as a fact, because Timi sits on these groups of managers of communities of practice in health, going past 5 years is really a major marker, and we're now 16 years old, which is quite something, and we continue to grow, which is excellent. And so members still, want to be part of this, want to be part of and be recognized, especially people who don't get any recognition. This is their association. This is the group that recognizes them and the critical work they do, no matter whether they're at a health center or they're the head of the central warehouse in the ministry. So I would say then, in terms of areas I'm most proud of, I think one, we've done such great work. The growth of the membership has been great, but I think really developing and engaging with the country chapters. So there's been a lot of growth in the country chapters and having much more engagement with the chapter leaders, including our monthly meetings, now both in French and in English, I think has been really probably one of the best things. And I guess that links back to what I've said often for the future. I think the country chapters are the future. We've got to keep developing them and growing them. It's quite challenging. These are all volunteers and with busy jobs. But I think that's where IPHL will continue to grow and to really get our chapters addressing country level issues and keeping the international discussion going. I think that's a big challenge for us, because I think there's some great discussions going on in the chapters, but we're not seeing it on our international listserv, because they're having these discussions locally. And so I guess that's advice also for Timi. I've always said that that's something we're going to have to try to figure out again. How do we get that great wealth of discussion going on and bring it to the international level, so more people can benefit from some of those discussions? Yeah, so I think then, I think with the, well, I guess here's the story. So I hope this, community practice grows. I think we did some great things when we got, AID has been our base, which we thank them very much for all these years. And that's helped us continue the base. And then when we've been able to reach out and get other funding, most recently with the Gates Foundation funding that we had for about 2 years, that really helped us re-engage the ambassadorship, which was fantastic, and which really they played a prominent role at the PTD and DAVA. I think that was excellent, but I think the big game changer was being able to give grants to our chapters. These are small grants, but as many of our chapter leaders have said and written about, it really let them really get their members engaged, got them registered, got them to do workshops, put on webinars, international webinars, which we posted. They did it again, really the development of the chapters. And I'm just hoping that we'll be able to, IPHL can find funding to continue that again. There's other things we did. The advocacy piece that we did in Zimbabwe, I think is excellent and something that should continue as well. And the Zimbabwe chapter has been going all out on the advocacy for supply chain, and especially the recognition of the workers and the people who make supply chain happen. So again, I think, those are, I think the future.
Thank you, Walter. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for letting us into the journey and your heartbeat around the IHPHL. So you have mentioned that one of the things you are very much proud about is the chapter institutionalization of the chapters across different countries. So I wanted to ask you what you're most proud of and why. So you just tell us the why part, and then tell us what you will miss the most as you exit the role.
Well, again, I think the chapters coming on board, I think is just has been very encouraging. And I think even our donors know that, and that if you're going to talk about, the people on the ground, meeting their needs and discussing their needs, then that's where it really happens. And again, just starting the monthly meetings and really keeping up with them. And then of course, finally being able to meet a need of our Francophone group, which is growing astronomically, to be able to have meetings in French, I think was very important for our Francophone group. I think in terms of missing most, obviously, I think it's the engagement with the chapters. And then I also think it's being able to meet the members in person. I think being able to go to conferences and really having discussions with members I think is probably something I would miss the most. I think that's, we've given presentations. We had a major presence at the PTD Indaba, which I hope it happens again. The Indaba happens again in March of 2024. And IPHL was able to, be all over the place. Our ambassadors were really great ambassadors. And for me, it was just to be able to see them, to see their growth, to see them presenting, and then also just to have the discussions with them. And I think that's probably what I'll miss most.
Thank you, Walter. Thank you very much. Now, we're looking to the future. You are leaving IHPHL as the Executive Director for now, but you are not leaving IHPHL because you still remain both a member and Executive Director Emeritus. That's correct, right?
Yes.
So now, my question to you is, what advice do you have for IHPHL as members, and then for us at the Secretariat, and of course for me as the new Executive Director of the association?
Yeah, hard questions. Well, I think first of all, I think IPHL's in good hands with you, Timi. I think we made a good choice, and I think you've hit the ground running. So, so that's all good. So that's, for the community, it's a good thing. I think that as we go forward as IPHL, it's really going to be incumbent on the Secretariat to find even better ways to engage the members, to meet their needs, sometimes with slim budgets. I think that'll be, how further can we engage and meet their needs? And that means also the members, I'm hoping, step up more. We have so many members, when they join, they say they want to share their experience and knowledge, but then they don't write anything. So I think one of the things is the members really need to engage. And I just reiterate this, I'll take this time for this. No matter what your experience is, there's someone else like you in IPHL. And so whether you're in Timbuktu or you're in Jakarta, Indonesia, there are people dealing with some of the same problems, and it's kind of sometimes good, or are successes, and it's good to share those. And you'll get somebody else who said, oh yeah, that's my issue, and why isn't this working, or that's a great idea. So I think members really need to not be hesitant about engaging and posting. I think is my advice to the members, because if we don't, then it won't be as vibrant. And of course the chapters are moving forward, but then how do we get the chapters to help share some of their information, I think will be important for the growth of IPHL and the support. And I guess another thing, with our new governing council, in addition to them having now very much, terms of reference and very much different engagement than the advisory group, I'm also hoping they engage more, both by posting things, but also really helping the Secretariat with creative ideas and sources of funding, and really come and help the Secretariat as part of their role as the governing council. I mean, we have some, smart, creative, very experienced people on the governing council. So it'd be good to, if they can provide more assistance, more real advice and help to the Secretariat, I think that would be great as we go forward. Yeah, I mean, I think again, IPHL, the Secretary, could be doing a lot more for the members if it had the adequate funding. I think, which is, as you know, a key issue in your position.
Right. Thank you, Walter. Thank you. So at this point, I want to pause to say thank you very much on behalf of the Secretariat and on behalf of the globally, to say thank you particularly for your sacrifices, for the efforts that you put into building IHPH membership, the engagement, the funding, incentives, small grant for different countries. I want to say thank you very much. You did not leave anything behind. You pour it all in at a goal. We have learned so much from your leadership, and we are really grateful for that. Thank you. So to end this conversation, we will now want to focus on you. So you now, where should we see you next? What's next on your agenda? Should we expect you on one of the luxurious beaches around the world, or we should expect to see you with Elon Musk on the space project?
As much as some people might want to send me to the moon or Mars, I'm not going. Well, I will continue, especially in the short term, to give advice to the Secretariat. Long term, as active members I can be of IPHL, that should continue. Reading those daily entries and maybe start posting some things as well. I haven't, I've traveled to 93 countries now. I'm hoping to actually add a few in my retirement to that. I've not closed any doors. So if anyone has a great job in Tahiti, please, send me a message. I'm happy to do some short-term work in Tahiti. Other work too, if it doesn't interrupt my travels or my beach time, but I haven't closed any doors, so I'm still able to do supply chain work, and I'll still part-time teach at the George Washington University and stuff. So I have a few things, and and then I'm gardening.
Interesting. You have to send us one of the pictures of the gardening.
Yes,
one of these.
I will.
All right. Thank you very much, Walter. Of course, we cannot exhaust all of the questions we have asked you on this platform. But I want to say thank you for granting this one. And I want to appeal to you that whenever we call you again, maybe alongside some of your contemporaries to come and engage us in a panel, you should also oblige us some of those privileges. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for the interview. And bye.
All right. Bye. Bye.